Multifunction displays have active areas which you use to access and control the functions of the MFDs. Active areas contain gray-colored keys. These can be menu keys or one of a number of different types of function keys. The keys replace mechanical control panel switches and keys used in other airplanes. For example, the 777 CDU is a mechanical control panel. You push keys to control the CDU's display area. In the 787, all of the CDU is a display. The keys are active areas on the display. To look at different system displays in the 777, you also push mechanical switches on a control panel. In the 787, you use keys on the system's menu. Let's see how to use the keys. The status display is the system's display shown here. To change the display to the door synoptic, you must select the door menu key. The display units are not touch screens. If you touch a menu key with your finger, there is no effect. You must use panel controls to move a cursor symbol over the displays to select menu keys and other active areas. Each pilot has a different cursor symbol that shows only on the displays on that side of the flight deck. MFD operations have 3 steps. First, make sure there is a cursor on the MFD. Next, move the cursor into the correct active area. A magenta box highlights the area when the cursor moves into it. Last, select the area. In this example, when you select the door menu key, the door synoptic replaces the status display. You move the cursor and make selections with cursor control devices, or CCDs, on the forward aisle stand, and with the multifunction keypads, or MFKs. The MFK cursor controls are at the bottom of the MFKs. Let's look first at the CCD. These are the controls we'll talk about. The cursor location switches move the cursor to the related MFD windows or to the electronic flight bag displays. The cursor location lights show you the location of the cursor. In this example, the cursor is on the lower DU. Let's use the CCD to replace the status display with the door synoptic. Push a cursor location switch to put the cursor in the left window of the inboard DU. The cursor moves to the display, and the cursor location light for the left window comes on. The cursor is in one of the active areas with a magenta highlight box. The active area the cursor moves to first is different for different types of MFD. In systems displays, it starts on the menu key for the selected display. Next, the cursor has to move to the door menu key. You can use the cursor control touchpad to move the cursor on the MFD. As you slide your finger over the touchpad, the cursor moves on the display. This is the same as the touchpad on a laptop computer. In the 787 CBT lessons, you can use your computer's mouse or touchpad to simulate use of the CCD touchpad. When you are told to move your computer's cursor onto a display, it will change to the airplane cursor symbol. Usually, the CCD will not be shown on the screen. Now, move the cursor to the door menu key. The magenta box moves with the cursor to highlight the door menu key. After the highlight box is around an active area, it can be selected. To select the active area, you push one of the cursor select switches. You can use your thumb to push the switch and keep your hand on the CCD. In the 787 CBT lessons, you will use your computer's left mouse button to simulate the operation of a CCD cursor select switch. Move the cursor to highlight the door key, then click to select it. The door menu key changes to green to show that the door synoptic is the selected MFD. When there are instructions to use the cursor, such as the example here, you will use your computer controls to highlight and select active areas. Now highlight the hydraulic menu key. The hydraulic synoptic shows and the hydraulic menu key is now green. After the cursor is on the MFD, you can also use the MFK cursor controls to move the cursor and select an active area. The outer control is the cursor control selector. The inner is a cursor select switch. You turn the selector to move the cursor through the active areas on the display. You will feel the selector catch each time the cursor moves to a new area. When you push the cursor select switch, it selects the area with the highlight box. In some 787 lessons, you will use the MFK cursor controls as an alternative to the CCD. The MFK will be in view, and instructions, as in this example, will tell you to use the MFK controls. Help arrows will come into view when your cursor moves over the cursor control selector. You must click on one of the arrows to turn the selector. Each click moves the highlight box to the next active area. Now use the MFK cursor control selector to highlight the fuel key. Push the cursor select switch to show the fuel synoptic. You have now used the two different cursor control procedures. The CCD and the MFK cursor controls can be used independently or together. Let's look at the different operations that will put a cursor onto an MFD. When you put a new MFD into a window, the cursor automatically moves into that window. This example shows the captain's inboard DU. Show the checklist in the right window. The cursor automatically moves to an active area in the checklist. The CCD cursor location light shows the new cursor location. Now show the COM display in the left window. Again, the cursor has automatically moved into an active area of the new display. If you only remove an MFD from a window, the cursor does not move from the window it is in. Remove the checklist from the right window. The cursor stayed in the left window. The cursor does not move to a window that shows a standard MFD when a different display is removed. You can also move the cursor to the MFD windows with the CCD cursor location switches. Move the cursor onto the ND. The cursor moved onto the ND because you told it to go there. Let's see what occurs if ICAS is moved to an inboard DU window that contains the cursor. Push the ICAS transfer switch. The cursor moves to the other window. The cursor cannot be shown on ICAS. You can also move the cursor to different displays with the CCD touchpad. If you slide your finger quickly to the edge of the touchpad, the cursor will jump to a different window. You can use the touchpad to move the cursor to and from the left, right, and lower windows. The touchpad cannot be used to put the cursor onto the EFB. When you lift your finger from the touchpad, the cursor movement stops. It does not automatically move to an active area. After the cursor is on the MFD, the next step is to move the cursor into the correct active area. Active areas that you can select have gray keys. If an area cannot be selected, it is shown as a cyan rectangle. Move the cursor over the CDU. Look at the different highlight boxes as the cursor moves over the active areas. Use the green arrow to continue. If you tap a corner of the CCD touchpad, the cursor moves to the same corner of the MFD.